Hey guys, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to the video. Been a minute since I recorded a video like full screen like this. That is very bright. Hold on a second. Okay. Move the lighting around slightly. I turn the fan on. Uh, for me the camera is inverted, so not light up there. Um, I turn that on instead of the overhead lights there. Um, just because it's a little bit easier to see my face. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna still record like this. We'll see. Anyway, uh, so this video. So in the most recent episode of the podcast with my friend Seth, he was mentioning to me about like the new Star Wars show, The Acolyte, and how he heard the third episode was shit, and we were talking a little bit about that and how I hadn't heard anything that or whatever. And so, I've watched the first two episodes of The Acolyte, and this is basically my review of The Acolyte. And I watched the first two episodes, and I'll be honest, the first episode I was struggling to remain interested, honestly, because it was really, really boring. The second episode was slightly better, so that kind of made me want to continue it. And then I watched the third episode this morning, and I'm dropping the show because, oh my god, it was so bad. Now, I will say this up front. It is not nearly as bad as I've heard people say it is. This doesn't make Acolyte like the worst Star Wars show ever. Because man, if that would have been a true achievement if it had become worse than the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, I'm gonna be real. But it is still not good. And it's extremely disappointing because this is one of the shows I was like genuinely excited for. And to no avail because it's just completely squandered its potential. Um, the plot line is just very like unoriginal. There are so many like possible ideas that they could have gone with, and yet a murder mystery was their best idea. A murder mystery of which is solved within the first episode, and yet for some reason Jedi can't figure out the difference between a pair of twins. Um Also, in the first episode, like the one thing I might say positively is the action is cool, but then that is ruined by the fact that like Jeffrey Pastor is killed by kitchen knife when multiple other shows, specifically the Obi-Wan show, have had characters survive fatal lightsaber wounds. Um, so It's just, oh my God. And then in the third episode, the dialogue is so painful. Like, it's the first time in a long time when I have watched anything and, like, literally, like, actually physically cringed. It's lame, it's cringe, and I know those words are, especially cringe, is so all but it's like genuinely cringy. It's like, wow, terrible dialogue. Um, it's not good. So the entirety of the third episode is like the entire flashback of what happened to Osha and May on the planet, that they grew up on, and why and how Osha like became a Jedi, like became accepted in the Jedi as a young girl. So, um, the dialogue, like they try to like establish me and Ocha as like these really close sisters, but it's like blatantly obvious they are not. it's like all this weird stuff about like how they're twins, they were born together, they are supposed to be the same and like the same things and be the same person and they share the same destiny and um it's it's really funny this coming up because I had dinner with a friend last night, a little bit, like uh personal tangent. And then we were talking about like, he's a twin and he's like talking about like, like I was telling we're talking about like how twins uh are supposed to be different and developing different identities. And I love how that that is just something that is so completely like squashed in this show. Like they try and just like hammer in the exact opposite of this of that idea where they're just like lording over the entire episode that the two of them should be the same and do all the same things because they're the same person because they're twins. And it honestly, it kind of drove me crazy. Because in terms of like storytelling, I've always loved the concept of twins. I think there's some really like interesting ideas that you can do with the relationship of twins when you're writing a pair of characters. No matter what gender they are, like if they're two boys, a boy and a girl, or two girls. And this is like the laziest idea of that potential I've ever seen. Um, and then they don't even keep to that same dynamic because later in the episode, because Osha wants to become a Jedi, May is just literally like they abandoned the already shit plot line they were going with, and then just tangent to another even more shit one where they're just like, I am going kill you. Which, that so much for like, twins staying together for the rest of their life and sharing the same destiny. Like what the fuck is that? And then they try to make their own weird ass force explanation with like it being this weird like thread thing or whatever. I understand they were probably trying to, have a unique interpretation of the force from like a unique culture in Star Wars or something like that, but it just didn't really work. And the attempt to like set up these witches as their own cult was really like weird, and the ritual they did, that entire scene was just really strange. And then um and then they're talking about how like the million Earths don't have a father, and it's implied that they're like these force conceived beings, which doesn't even make any sense at all. Like even using their own bullshit explanation of it. Um, so yeah. Overall, this was very disappointing. Like the first two episodes were boring, and sure you could nitpick a lot of minor things, like I was telling my dad about, but like um, it's just the first episode was boring. The second episode was still kind of boring, but was made a little bit better by the idea that it was going somewhere. And then the third episode totally ruined it with like some of the cringiest dialogue I've ever watched. Um. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. So video, I mean. Um. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye. No, don't watch Acolyte. It's bad. Bye.